Welcome, beautiful people, to Petrify the Patriarchy. I'm your guide, Joe B. If you're ready to unearth the subtle ways patriarchal culture has shaped your world and uncover the hidden power within your own shadow, you're in the right place. Here we don't just speak truth to power, we wield it, turning stagnant energies to stone so that your authentic, liberated self can truly flourish. Let the unlearning begin. Hi. Oh my gosh, I'm back. It's been forever. So let me explain how life has worked these last few months. I know I had stated that I was going to do an episode a week as a goal, and then life got in the way. But it was the life that I needed to have happen. So I'm calling this reclaiming the power of being. We're at the gates. Medusa is at the gates, right? She had a massive transformation in her life, not necessarily, something she asked for, but something that she needed in order to discover her worth, her value, her power, right? And so I'm going to use my life experience over the past few months to kind of dive back in. So I'm back, and this is Petrify the Patriarchy. I am Joe B., your guide, and I'm sorry if you've noticed the silence. I've definitely had things to do, but I've also really missed this aspect of my life. And I've been in boxes, literally diving into boxes with tape and bubble wrap and paper and the absolute logistical nightmare of what it means to sell a house and then move, my entire life. And that house, I lived in for 25 years. So half of my life I lived in my home. And I'll be honest with you, the weeks that I was gone, there was a really familiar cold weight sitting on my chest. And it wasn't just the stress of the move. And that in and of itself is a whole level of anxiety and just overpowering what the fuck that I don't wish on anybody at all. But it really caused me to take some steps back and recognize that as much as I was working toward the balance of the scales, that the move really, kind of tipped me in a big direction. And, even as someone who researches and teaches about unlearning patriarchal conditioning, white supremacy culture conditioning, I've found myself being policed by my own internal patriarch. And that voice has been whispering at me since I started the process of moving. Since, I started to limit, remove things, edit things from my home and getting it ready to show and having yard sales and donations, and from that very beginning phase all the way up until, even this morning, it's that if you're not doing something, if you're not podcasting, if you're not working, if you're not producing something, you're not creating, you're not finding a job, then clearly you're not worth anything. You're not valuable. And if you're resting or healing, then you must be a failure at life, right? The internal critic that's always there in the background. And I found myself back in bed this morning, like a lot of mornings since my move, fighting with that ick factor of being still. I really want to just lay there and stare at the ceiling. And I just want to deal with the fact that I'm fucking exhausted, right? I have Hashimoto's, which is autoimmune related, right? I have perimenopause. I am of the age. So I have, actual physical things happening inside of me that sometimes really, really, really do make it challenging for me to function. And every morning it's been why? Why do I have to get up? Why do I have to do this thing called life? What is the point, right? And then I get up because I have dogs and they're my whole purpose for being, and you can probably hear them in the background. They're mad because I put them away so that they wouldn't be on camera making the noises they're making now. um, and that's, that's why we're here today, right? We're talking about that threshold. We have thresholds throughout the course of our day that that we can make a choice. Are we gonna take action? Are we gonna do the thing? Are we gonna make a decision to not do the action? Are we going to status quo life? Are we going to, right? We have all kinds of options around that threshold. And today's nuance in that threshold is the violent way patriarchy demands our masculine energy, the doing part of life, the building, the achieving, etc., etc. And while we're doing and achieving, we're mocking and devaluing the feminine energy, the being, the receiving, the rest, the stillness. So if you've ever felt guilty for resting, for taking a breath, for needing to just sprawl out and ignore the rest of the world, or if you feel like your worth is only as good as your last completed checklist, right, then stay here because we're going to talk about this today. And we're going to look into the mirror together and realize that standing at the gate and simply existing in the truth as you know it is one of the most revolutionary acts of defiance you can commit. And the whole point of Petrify the Patriarchy is to understand that we live in a very masculine dominant energy space. Our Western society, United Statesian existence is very much about that masculine doing piece. And when we say, no, I'm not doing that, taking a breath, we're all of us collectively at some point or another are breaking down, petrifying the patriarchy where it stands. So more feminine energy can step into existence and we can recognize the humanity in each other. That's where we're at today. That's the threshold. So let's talk about this invisible audit, the measuring the doing and the measuring the being. So in sociology, we like to look at time use surveys. And like those from, that would be like Bureau of Labor Statistics, for example. And if we translate this thing called doing as active, productive, the maintenance labor, right? And being as the unstructured, intuitive, or restorative time, then we've got some math that we can kind of go over, all right? And that math is going to be important for us to be able to reflect on how we individually spend our time and how we, in whatever collective we're a part of, can start measuring that time, right? So let's start with the doing. This is the masculine piece, right? And this could probably look like about 14 to 16 hours of your day, right? So that would be your paid labor, which could be 8 to 9 hours a day. The second shift, if you will, this would be housework and logistics. And for women, of course, this number is extraordinarily high. But if we're talking just kind of baseline, we're talking somewhere between 2.5 to 4 hours of extra second shift work after your paid labor, right? And then you've got the mental load. You're planning, you're managing, you're prepping. This is that background noise that's always the Rolodex that's always flipping in the back of your brain. It never stops flipping. It never stops rolling. It's always going, reminding you of the things, right? And then we have life admin, right? So that would be anything like paperwork related, or for me, moving logistics, appointments, things like that. And we're looking at the 1 to 2 hours of that. Okay. So when we look at that in a combined total, kind of the average is somewhere between 14 and 16 hours of masculine energy is where we spend our time. And then by contrast, when we talk about the being, the feminine energy piece, we're talking 30 to 60 minutes a day. And so statistics report that most adults spend less than 1 hour of true leisure time that isn't productive, that isn't spent consuming media to numb out from the doing. So eliminate TV, eliminate the scroll hole of being on your device, Um, just reading a book, or meditating, or doing yoga, or being in your garden, something along those lines, right? The being piece of your day. So the average person is living in the 95% realm of doing. Go, 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 go. You got to get it done. And we're essentially 5% human beings and 95% human doings, or machine, if you will. And this is why you feel like you're renting your life, because you're spending most of every waking second paying off the debt of your existence. That's fucking backwards when you put it like that, right? So let's look at this energy imbalance. And I'm redefining energetic components because I need this for myself. I forget the trajectories I've been on, and especially when life like pops up in the way that it did. It's time to move. Everything else stalls, including my own my own knowledge and belief systems around finding balance in my life, right? And let's be real, I have not felt like myself while I shed that container, my sanctuary of 25 years. And while I'm trying to rebuild even the very smallest of routines, I don't have the cues, the reminders, the patterns, the actual footprint of where I'm existing is completely different. And so I wake up in the morning and it's like amnesia hits me every single day, because for 25 years I had a solid plan of action when I got up. I followed the same path for 25 years. I fed the dogs at the same time. Everything about where I was innate. And I don't have that innate footprint to follow, even in this new path that I've created for myself. And so I'm here to remind all of you and myself, because hey, accountability, it's a thing. Let's go over masculine energy. All right. This, again, the doing aspect of life. This is linear. It's the checklist. It's the mortgage. For me, it was definitely all about packing tape and boxes. It's our hustle, our grind. And this is what patriarchy loves, because it's measurable and it's taxable. So here we could say it's patriarchy plus capitalism. But, they're best buds anyway, so we can make that assumption without me saying it, right? It's the real tangible stuff in life. It's seen by others. It's what I think it's the downfall of us all is the social media aspect here, where we're seeing everyone's masculine energy, and we can't replicate that, or we don't understand how it is that this person is able to live this life, but I'm not able to live this life, right? The thief, what is it? Comparison is the thief of life, or the thief of time, right? Masculine energy is all wrapped up there. Okay. Feminine energy is the being part of life. This is the cyclical, the spiral, the cycles, the moon cycle, for example. It's the rest. For me, it's been rest after the move. It's been sitting in this new house and just feeling out the space. It's intuition that tells you when you're done for the day. The feminine energy is really the intangible. It's not something you can see. May be very esoteric. It may be unknown. It may be questions that cause your eyebrows to knit together, because you can't yet find the answer you're seeking, or maybe you don't even know the right question yet, right? And when we're being, this is where we find our souls. This is where we find our purpose, our why. And yet we spend so much time in masculine energy that directly opposes us having that space, that maybe we don't even know why. And I'm not going to lie, I'm struggling with my purpose right now. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. I know what I'm not supposed to do, but that's not helpful for moving forward, right? And so the struggle is for women, and I'm going to speak specifically here for women, we are often rewarded for our masculine energy. The boss bitch, the strong woman who gets it all done, right? And this is while our feminine energy is being dismissed as lazy or unproductive. And I really want us to think about the language we use around rest, because oftentimes it has a very negative connotation, lazy or unproductive. is masculine energy telling us not to spend our time there versus I need rest or rejuvenation or self-care, right? Those words have more impactful meaning and make us want to be in our feminine energy versus lazy or unproductive. Okay, so think about your language even as you're speaking to yourself. And so here's what I chose to do. After 25 years in the same space and deciding to shed it all and move to this new space. When I think about the timeline I've had here, which is about 3 months versus 25 years, in that 25 years that I lived in that house, it was 25 years of how the fuck am I going to pay for this? And it was daily. It never went away. That was always in the background, running. How am I going to make this work? Granted, I bought my house with my ex-husband, but he was only there, I think, maybe 3 years. So, okay, 22 out of the 25 years. How do I make this work? And it drove me in my teaching career. It drove me in the side jobs I took. It drove me in, how many groceries can I buy right now that won't take away from the mortgage payment, right? Like even the smallest of things, right? It was ever present, and it was a big, giant, challenging, stressful load to carry, especially as a single mom, right? And a single mom teacher at that, because we all know teachers aren't paid what they're worth. But I managed, but barely, for 25 years. So when I made the decision to sell, and it happened very quickly, I decided very early on, I'm going to give myself a break from the hardships of owning a home, and I'm just going to rent. Now, there are positives and negatives here, right? Like, creativity is one of my biggest joy factors, and that includes my internal spaces and how I can decorate them. What walls can I take down, for example? Can I, remove this sink and put something I like in there better? Whatever that might be, right? I knew I was giving that up to rent. But at the same time, decor, furniture placement, how you hang your curtains, peel and stick wallpaper, right? There are things you can do that are temporary that'll still make the space feel amazing, right? So I opted to go that route so I wouldn't have to sweat the small stuff, right? The sink that was always leaking, no matter how many times I fixed it. The electrical went out in the bathroom 2 years before I decided to sell my house, and I had to spend almost $1,000 to fix that, right? Like, all these little things that pop up as an owner. How am I going to cover that, right? I'm like, I'm not going to live that stress right now. I need to give myself a break. And so when I found this place, I said, I'm going to pay for a year's rent up front. Now, I recognize the privilege in saying that, right? I got a chunk of change from my house. And, a property manager hearing 1 year up front, like, you think their eyes are just going to pop out of their head. But let me tell you, the liberation I felt in saying that and feeling the weight of mortgage lifted off my shoulders was astronomical. That'll go down as one of my favorite memories in my lifetime, is being able to say I'm paying for a year up front. And in the last 3 to 4 months, I've had to do a lot of reminding myself. You've had 25 years of enormous financial stress. Not that I don't have financial stress now, right? Yes, I have a podcast. Yes, I've started a business, but everything has taken a hiatus. And that means because I haven't been putting time and effort into this, therefore, my income has been affected, right? So now that I'm sitting here, thinking about all this, 25 years of this enormous financial stress, has now just been erased. And I don't have a checklist of bills the way that I had in my house. I don't have the calendar flipping over. It's the first of the month, got to pay the bills. It's the first of the month, I got to pay the bills. I don't have that currently. And I have my entire day built around being able to be in my feminine energy. And now that I'm mostly organized, I'm fucking exhausted. It's not just I need a nap. It's this DNA level exhaustion. And right, like I said before, it could be a Hashimoto's thing. It could be a perimenopause thing, right? But what makes the most sense to me right now is this extreme need for a 2-hour nap in the middle of the day for no fucking reason because I haven't moved much. 12 hours sleep, no problem. I can do that. And just being on the sofa, reading a book, listening to a podcast, snuggling with my dogs, going through oracle cards. I've started a collection and I love them. Right? I'm literally healing 25 years of financial weight and stress that has just been evaporated. And yet I struggle because this is where conditional worth connects to my research, right? If we only value ourselves when we're doing things, what does that say about us? Like I said earlier, are we human doings or human beings? I would rather spend more of my time in this feminine energy the rest of my life because suddenly I see hope and joy in ways that I hadn't seen hope and joy for at least a decade. I want to be in my human being existence. So, why is this terrifying? If you think about the shadow work aspect of it, there's a ton of fear, right? Like me most mornings right now, when I climb back into bed or I sprawl out on the sofa, why do I feel irritated instead of rested? It's that masculine energy screaming at me because that is what we're conditioned to participate in. That's what we have to pay attention to most. And the answer is because when we stop doing all the things, we have to face ourselves. We have to grab hold of that obsidian mirror and we have to look deeply at ourselves. And when we're in our being phase, that's what we do. And most of the time, most of us don't really enjoy that. It's hard work to look at yourself and go, what is happening? What do I need to do? How do I fix this? And go deep inside your own being to find whatever it is your purpose, your why, your joy, your passion is. And the patriarchal trap is that we're all a part of the system in one way, shape, or form, and it keeps us so busy doing the things that it tells us we need to do that we never have time to realize that we're powerful enough on our own to dismantle the system just by being ourselves. And this is where I wanted to land today. That authentic place of being me. So listen to me closely. Your body is not a business. Your home is not a headquarters. And your soul is not a goddamn resource to be managed. For thousands of years, patriarchy has played a shell game with our worth, and it's convinced us that our right to occupy space, to breathe air, to inhabit our own skin is a debt we have to pay back every day. And that's instilled by that inner landlord. There's that conversation, get up and go, you got to do the thing, right? In our psyche. And it's cold, it's calculating, and it audits our minutes and then sends us a bill for the space we take up. We've been living in a state of 95% doing. We've been conditioned to believe that being is simply a luxury we can only afford after the checklist is finished. But guess what? The checklist is designed to never end. And the landlord doesn't want you to be done. He wants you to be indebted. So today, let's create an eviction notice for our inner landlord. We are refusing to pay rent for the space that we inhabit, our bodies. We are reclaiming feminine energy, not as a treat, not as self-care Sunday, but foundational territory of our lives. We are moving from 95% doing to a radical, unapologetic state of expansion. And you don't need to organize one more box or check another thing off the list to deserve the light from your own window. You don't need to crush one more goal to justify the beat of your heart. You are the land. You are the air. You are the threshold. And the invoice is fake. The debt is a lie. So stop paying for a life you already own. So, knowing all of this, you are enough. You've got it all. You are you. What are you going to reclaim? What are you going to set up for yourself? Making sure that you have that time and that space. And I know many of us are so busy. If you've got a spouse and you've got children and you've got a full-time job and, where can you carve out that space? For me, I've been picking up on my sacred rituals, my little ceremonies for the last couple of weeks. And it's helped me reclaim my own inner self. I need more of it. I need more. I need that schedule because I've been pretty terrible at keeping one since I've moved. But slowly I'm regaining bits and pieces and reminding myself, oh yeah, that ritual is awesome. I need to do that. Right? And it's not because I should, and it's not because I'm being paid to, but because I'm worthy of my own time, my own being. So I'm taking back those minutes from the patriarchy, and I'm not going to allow myself to feel shame or guilt or lazy or unproductive for having taken this time to rest. I still need to rest. I'm still so tired, right? 3 months versus 25 years. I've got, that my scale is definitely tipped. I've got a lot of healing to do. But let's manifest petrifying the patriarchy together. And we're going to do this collectively, one unproductive hour at a time. The more rest you take, the more enlightened and the more whole and the more you become. So that's where I'm going to end it for today. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the new space. Joby, signing off.